I'd never wanted a job more. I was like, I must get this part.
I had already had like a collection of tattoos, but I was like, okay, no, here's an excuse. I can just continue to get more tattoos.
Peter, you have a million three-piece suits. Did you get to take any of those home with you?
Oh, I pillaged. I marauded and pillaged.
My agent was like, you should go in for this part. And I was like, no, this is my idol. I don't want to go on national television talking about her bush. Like, I would not do this.
Hi, I'm Ruth Kinney, and welcome to Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with Younger. I'm joined by series creator Darren Star and cast members Sutton Foster, Debi Mazar, Nico Tortorella, Molly Bernard, and Peter Hermann. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Liza Miller, will you marry me?
Oh my God.
I just want to drink you up.
Did she say yes? Are they engaged? I just heard the news.
I'm impressed that Chaz was so romantic.
Something like that.
Can you believe it's been 7 years? Does it feel like it's been that long since this all kicked off?
No, and no.
You know, like it's been, but it feels like yesterday that we started in a weird way. I mean, like we've had babies, we've had deaths, we've had children born, we've had marriages.
It feels very weird to not look forward to being together again, because I think that's the one sort of wonderful continuity through all this is like finishing a season, but knowing that we were going to all see each other in like a number of months again, or that I'd be back with the writers. And it was like this sort of like, I don't know, this sort of wonderful work that we could all count on, and a group that we could all count on seeing all the time. So that's the toughest part for me.
It was like summer camp every year, and now we're too old to go to summer camp.
Oh, God.
Never.
But maybe we can be camp counselors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bring everything you've learned to a new generation.
Do you think it's a mistake to go back to Millennial?
And piss off a bipolar billionaire after she agreed to fund your company?
I have decided to stay put at Millennial.
So you're running home to daddy, okay.
Please allow me to present surf legend Kai Manning. You have to do something to get you into your body.
You're gonna say yoga?
No, I was gonna say sex.
Darren, when you first decided to make this series, did you think, yeah, this will be like 7-ish seasons, or did you think like 3 or 4, we'll see what happens?
First, we did a pilot, and you just hope they're going to pick up the show. So I don't think you ever think more than 1 year at a time. And for me, it's always like, do the best show you can for that season and don't hold back material for the next season. So I always feel like we kind of would write ourselves, up to the ledge and not quite know what was going to happen next season, but knowing that I think that we had such a great cast, such an amazing cast, such great characters, there was always going to be story to uncover. And so that's what we did every season. We just wrote the best season we could, and hoping that we would be back for another season.
What do you think is the secret to the longevity of this show for you guys on the cast too? Was there like, what about the show has made it go for 7 seasons and made like fans are obsessed with it? It's never like lost its like cult following.
I think it's about the relationships. I think that the love that we have for each other just like spilled out of the screen. I think the writers wrote for the actors and the characters, and it just was one of those things where like they tailored it in a way that it just felt so organic. It just was seamless every season in terms of the fun that we had and how our stories progressed, and also the relationships that we developed. So it felt very natural.
I also think that we live in a very cynical age and a very sarcastic age somehow, and so much so that we don't even hear it anymore. It's just the way that we speak, and it's the way that we interact. And there's this snark to everything. And that's what counts as savvy and funny and smart and relevant. And I think that there's just such generally there's such a bite to the way that people interact that poses as interesting. And I think that this show, in a sense, is so fundamentally optimistic, and so unabashedly positive. And I think it's a respite from the way that we spend our days. I think there is something very winning about that. And it's not a show that is naive in any way. It's not a show that pulls its punches. It's plenty sarcastic. It's got all the bite that you want, but it's a fundamentally, I think it's a show that is optimistic about human beings and the friendships between them.
We're not the young kids on the block anymore. I'm not sure what defines me now.
Look, we're all mashups. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that age is irrelevant.
Do you guys remember when you first for you guys on the cast, when you first heard about the project or the role kind of came your way, what your impression of each of your characters were? And I know, Molly, you have a great story about wanting to be part of this.
Yeah, my Ruth and I spoke the other day. My mini story, obviously, we all know at this point, 7 years old, I was obsessed with Sutton Foster. I don't know if you've heard of her. And my agent was like, you should go in for this part. And I was like, no, this is my idol. I don't want to go on national television talking about her bush. Like, I wouldn't do this. My agent was like, no, I really feel like there could be some good alchemy there. What if you guys all really hit it off? Like, what if I think Darren could really like you? And maybe, you could end up being a series regular. And I was like, you are on drugs. You are delusional. But okay. Sure, I'll go. And and the rest is history.
So cool. Does anybody else remember their first impression of the character?
I actually went in, I just want to say, I went in for the role of Miriam Shore for Diana Trout, which to me was kind of like the obvious dial it in, be like, boss bitch. And then Maggie came up and it was like, is she too old? Like, what do we think? And Darren was like, no, I like Debi Mazar for this role. And I was so excited to play Maggie because, it was something very different for me. And I was just really honored and so excited that Darren even wanted to see me for a role.
Well, actually, Debi and I had known each other just casually for years. So I wanted to work with Debi. And so that was something else, an opportunity to work with Debi.
We didn't go with the obvious, and that was really cool.
I was just so excited that Josh was a tattoo artist. I had already had like a collection of tattoos, but I was like, okay, no, here's an excuse. I can just continue to get more tattoos without my team being like, no more tattoos.
And I had for you it's tattoos, for me it's books.
Yeah.
Right. But it was an excuse to read. And it was so, it's the kind of thing where you say, I had the craziest dream. I got an email about a role from Darren where I got to play a publisher. Too bad it wasn't true. And it was the dreamiest thing possible. I get to spend my day with books. It just couldn't have been lovelier.
Sutton, do you remember just what you thought of it when it first came your way?
I was sort of, I remember getting the script. My agent sent me the script and immediately I was like, oh, Darren Star. And then I was in my kitchen and I read the script. I didn't even sit down. I was standing in my kitchen and I read it. I just remember thinking I think I might be able to pull this off. I was like, I might be able to do it. Because it was sort of a tricky conceit. And I was like, I think I might be able to pull it. And I could hear myself saying the lines. And then I was just sort of determined. I'd never wanted a job more. I was like, I must get this part. I was determined to play this part. So I was really happy when it all worked out. But never in a million years would I imagine 7 years. That was from reading a script in your kitchen to 7 years later. It's wild when you think about it. It's just it's insane. So
crazy.
Maggie, this is Camilla. Coming?
If I would have said something sooner, would it have made a difference?
Things don't always turn out as planned.
I want you in my life.
I want you in mine, too.
What do you know?
Everything.
I've had to bend a lot to be with you.
Was there then a moment when you guys were at a table read or maybe when you got on set that you kind of had that feeling this is going to be special? Because you are all so close now, which is lovely to see. But was there one moment maybe where one of you was like, this is going to be you
never think that. Because you have to protect you. You have to protect yourself against, so much ends so quickly. You always hope, but you never say, as Darren said, you're in the season and you finish out the season and then you think, okay, I'll never work again. And then you hope for the next one. That's how we live,
I remember when we started doing press for the first season and we kind of did our first tour in New York. And that's when it felt a lot bigger than anything I had experienced or imagined. you know, I mean, just the cast, and the names, and just the response, the fans, it all felt really real at that.
No, like every time someone says like, I watch Younger, I'm like, really? Like I'm still kind of like, and I know it's been 7 years, but it was also such like a slow discovery, and it's like grown like through the years, and like people are still watching it for the very first time. I literally just got an email yesterday from a friend of mine and was like, oh, I just watched all this, you know, seasons. And it's like, that was really nice. It was this unraveling of and I think we were all, it never kind of, I don't think any of us got like ahead of it. Like we weren't like, we were just, it was all kind of washing over us as it was happening, which I think was nice.
I remember filming the pilot. I directed the pilot, and we were filming it, and I was like, oh, wow, everything's working. All the chemistry between all the actors is working, but we still hadn't cast Josh while we were filming the pilot. And which is a little stressful. And then Nico was cast basically the day before the scene. Remember, Nico? He came in, we didn't have wardrobe. We didn't have wardrobe, which is like, okay, white t-shirt, that's it. And then Sutton and Nico did their scene. I was like, okay, it works. And
wow.
Like such a relief, you know, it was like, you guys were just like terrific together from that first scene. So I thought that was like, it was such a missing piece of the puzzle that hadn't been decided yet until the very last minute.
Yeah, that's stressful. Jeez.
We're women. Ooh. We are fighters. This is our moment, Liza.
Is there now something that people say to you guys about either your characters individually or the show in general, like a compliment you get that you're like, that makes me really proud to be part of this? I mean, honestly, no, and Nico, Josh is probably the most understanding ex-boyfriend to ever exist.
I'll take it. I feel like I myself am quite an understanding ex-boyfriend as well. So it's nice to bring that character to life. I don't know, when anyone says, you know, I mean, this sounds cheesy, but like when someone just like goes Team Josh, you know, it feels like, oh, okay, even though that's not what the show's about. But it's one of those things that's just like a quick bite.
Does anybody else have something that people tell them about their character that they're like, oh, that makes me feel good?
I mean, I get stopped at every airport, every place I go, and worldwide, different languages. Because, you know, Younger has gone global. And no matter if I'm in Morocco or Spain or Italy or wherever, France, people are just like, we love the show, you know, and it's so nice because we always hoped that the platform would have exploded and that we could be like a little more visible. It was kind of a sleeper hit, but people watched it. And it's just so great that we developed this fan base. And for me, my character, people just go, oh, you kept it real. I can relate to Maggie. I can relate to the, you know, like certain things about her. And that always makes you feel good, you know, and the writers were so spot on to really tailor the writing towards the actor and also to drive the story forward.
I think her boldness and self-confidence has left a mark on a lot of people. It's whenever people kind of stop me and say something, they're like, dang, that confidence. How does she have that? I mean, I will miss that energy. I will miss her light so much. She's just, there's nobody else like her.
But you
just go back and watch
now too. You know, I mean, think about how much she's affected you.
And you became a powerhouse. I mean, you were always a brilliant actress. And then but then like all of a sudden, season 7, you became like boss.
Fully.
Driving stuff. And it was like so wonderful to watch.
Do you think we can pull this off?
What do we have to lose?
Darren, for you, when you were first kind of planning out the series, did you think like, yes, every couple of seasons we'll have a big reveal and one of the major characters will find out Liza's lie? Or did that just kind of happen that way?
You know, it was more organic. I kind of thought that everybody would find out a lot sooner than they did, but somehow it seemed possible to keep it alive, even way past the point where I thought we could, you know? And we just sort of like, it kind of, we let the characters help us tell the story in terms of how we felt it was going and what felt real and what was working, you know, and we definitely had a lot of fun with the lie and keeping it alive, but I didn't think it would be kept alive. I didn't think it would stay alive as long as it would, but the fact that it did actually help the show in the long run, because I think the show is really all about the cost of a lie, you know, and what it means, like how one little lie can kind of like sort of evolve into something so big. And, you know, I think the show also maybe resonates with people because it sort of questions how important is honesty, how much can we reinvent ourselves. And I think that, I mean, obviously the show's about reinvention in a really positive way, but I think it's also about the cost of a lie in a way that somehow does hurt the character, hurt Liza in ways that I feel like are valid.
Sutton, was there a worse one for you? Like just for the fallout that kind of came with it of all the characters as they find out? Was it like, which was the hardest to kind of go through the motions of as an actress?
I guess each one was really hard. And it was like, and I was sort of tortured every season. But then some would last longer. It was really hard to have basically every character like call me a liar. There was a scene where Nico calls me a liar. You're a liar and a cheater. And I was like, and then that was pretty rough. And then Hillary, Kelsey and I were like fighting for most of season 3. And then was it like season 4 where Peter was like, Charles was pissed off at me for like, I mean, it was like, so yeah, it was rough. It was rough. But they were all sort of hard. But I think what was so hard is that we like each other so much. So then to have so much like on set, and then afterwards we'd be like, you know, it was like we love each other. But each one was pretty rough. Oh, and then Diana, and then I got tortured with Diana. But that one was actually not so bad because that one resolved pretty quickly. But we had that beautiful scene that Sarah wrote where we have our
in her office, which was just an incredible scene where Diana is basically like, she's hurt and angry, but understands, like she gets it. Their friendship is true, and she recognizes that as well. So it's that was a really beautiful scene. So I didn't have to be tortured by Diana for too long. No.
For Charles, now this, I can't seem to keep up with all the lies that you've told. You must have had a good time at my expense.
No, it wasn't like that at all.
What was it like, Liza?
It was really hard lying to someone I care about so much. Diana, I owe so much to you. You were the only person who wanted to hire me.
One of my favorite things about the show is all the female friendships, right? Like they're all so good to one another. I mean, even after the lies come out, they always come back and support one another. Is for you guys on the show, is that one of the things you're kind of happiest to go in there and portray, like women just being like cool to one another?
Oh, yeah. Hands down. It's my favorite part of the show. Is like I know the love triangle is a big deal, and I know it's really important. I like watching it too, but I think the heart of the show are the female friendships. No offense. And, especially with Kelsey and Liza, those scenes, even the ones that I've literally been there for filming, I'll be watching an episode and I'm like deeply emotionally invested.
Well, we should also mention that Hillary's not here because she's just had a baby, so congrats to her. But yeah, that's one of the kind of integral love stories as well, is just Kelsey and Liza's friendship and how enduring it is over the course of 7 seasons. So I'm excited to see where that goes in the last few episodes. We're so
happy that the baby was born because that baby is in season 7.
She held so many popcorn bowls and everything in front of her, and just our costume designer was brilliant in making like these sort of empire cut and like, you know, curtain type of things to disguise the belly. It was genius.
It was really like a whole collaborative effort of like, who's gonna hide Hillary's belly today? Is it gonna be costume, props? Is a cast member? Like, oh my gosh, Peter Lauer placed me directly in front of Hillary, and Hillary was just popping her head out as a way to block her belly.
It was really beautiful when this was actually when Banks was born. Sutton, Sutton showed me a picture of her daughter, and I showed Sutton the picture of our kids, and And then Hillary, in just the most beautiful, sweetest way, she goes, "You want to see a baby picture?" And then she showed us her sonogram. And
we're like, what?
That's the way that she told us that she was pregnant, and it was just the most beautiful thing. Just the most beautiful thing.
So cute. Well, speaking of fashion, in a way, the fashion on the show is incredible, and I'm sad that we can't ask Miriam about all the necklaces right now. But Peter, you have a million three-piece suits. Did you get to take any of those home with you?
Oh, I pillaged. I marauded and pillaged, and just my God, I actually did get to take a number of them home, and I sleep in them, and then wake up the next day and put on the next one and wear 3 of them a day. So I did, but I took them home, but I have a pair of boots from a show that I did. And then, but it's strange. I think it's strange to wear, like it always takes a thought when you put on show from a clothes, because there's a different life in the threads somehow. And it takes a little something to introduce those clothes out into the world. It's a different thing. But I walk around in them at home all the time.
So happy to hear that. Maggie, Debi, what about Maggie's art? Is that something that like you could steal something off towards the end?
I could have, except that I own the originals, and then they were redone and they were available, but I don't need any more pictures of myself. I'm not that person, and I have a photography collection, and so for me it was kind of weird to see myself, especially in season 7. Maggie has an art show, and a lot of it is taken from my Debi Mazar's past life. So we retracted some famous people and put like a random person in the picture. It was sort of like, whoa, it was very surreal for me, but they were worthy of taking home. And I'm so happy that they made it into the show.
So cool. Did anybody else take anything on like the last day that they can own up to now?
I confess to stealing endless books from set.
I've taken books from your office, from Charles's office over the years.
Yeah. So if you look at the background, there are gaps. That's like Darren and me stealing books.
There was some good books there. I'm like, wow, they actually got some good books in this office. Yeah, did they?
Yeah. I didn't know you guys did that. That's so cute. I had no idea you guys did
all the time. All the time.
I took a taxidermied alligator head from Inkberg because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah.
I got
you earned that.
If I ever stole anything from the set, I never did because I don't steal. I've been busted once for stealing when I was young, and I was like, oh no, I can't do that again.
It's called rescuing books, though.
In my bedroom, I'll show it. I'm probably like getting younger with Taylor. I took this bronze 1960s statue that looks almost like an Oscar, but it's to hold my jewelry, and I'll show it one. But I took one thing on the last day only because they asked me, "Have you ever stolen anything?" I'm like, I would never do that. And then I was like, well, I guess I should. So I took one little statue that no one would care about.
We should talk about season 7 a little bit because I want to see what you guys are willing to tease and see if I can get any spoilers out of you. Where do we pick up? How are Charles and Liza doing after that very impromptu proposal at someone else's wedding, which is terrible etiquette, but how are they doing relationship-wise?
It was sincere and impulsive, and I think we pick up the action picks up right where it left off. So we sort of follow the story from that moment, and it definitely has a lot of major ramifications from the beginning of season 7.
Nico, how is Josh doing with fatherhood this season? Any surprises?
Josh was made to be a parent in so many ways. Gemma's getting older, which was fun. Working with a baby as an actor keeps you on your toes in a way like nothing else does, because anything could happen at any given moment. So you just have to be alive.
You're lucky that you're the one who's the dad with 4 babies in the show, because every baby is obsessed with Nico.
Yeah, that worked out really well. It could have been the opposite.
There's that one scene where Gemma's on the floor. I just watched it yesterday, and I come into the house, and this baby would stand up and just run towards me when I walked in. Oh my God! And it made it to the cut. So sweet. There are definitely some baby surprises this scene. That's all I can say about that. Y'all are going to see some stuff on this show that exists in the world, but you know, we brought it to television.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Life has better ideas, a bigger imagination, takes bigger chances than someone like me a year ago, moving through her 40s in a cloud of old ideas. Life gives you more than you thought, but maybe not in the package you expected.
Liza.
What Molly and Debbie, what about Lauren and Maggie? We saw they were kind of joking about maybe rekindling their romance. I'm assuming maybe that doesn't go that way. Are they more just friends this season?
I don't want to give anything away. Lauren and Maggie have a very special friendship. We've had a past relationship, but I think we've grown together as friends. What happens in season 7, I can't tell you. However, we had a lot of fun doing it. And it still stays. It's still fireworks, explosive, exceptional, and lots of respect.
I think we're almost at time. So just lastly, what will you guys miss most about making this show? And what do you kind of hope that fans that have been there from the beginning will sort of take away overall from just experiencing it with you guys? No tears.
I'll just miss being with everybody. I will miss, like, we do. I mean, obviously we work together on set, but it's all the stuff behind the scenes that I'll miss. I'll miss just like hanging out and showing each other photos and laughing and crochet club and all the amazing locations. Like we just had such a great time, and we were together for long ass days, and we worked, together for 7 years of our lives. We've shared this time together, and that's what I'll miss.
I think there's this element to, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Sutton.
I don't care.
I don't care. The fact that we just shot through a pandemic is something, like, we actually just went through something really big together. We were around each other. We were our pod, during this really tumultuous and scary time. And not to mention, this is really my first job out of grad school. So I've been playing this part since I left my graduate program. And it's like ending this chapter feels like unfathomable to me because it's taken up such space, I know, in my life, but it's taken up space in all of our lives. And to answer the second part of your question, I really think that I hope fans feel like, we've become their dear friends. And if they miss us, they can always start over. We'll always be there, it sucks for us because we won't get to act with each other every year on the dot, but the world has us, whenever they need us.
That's lovely. Okay, I'm going to go start watching from season 1 again, even though I just did it, but I'll do it again. Guys, I cannot thank you enough for your time. I'm such a big fan of the show, so I'm delighted, but I'm so sad it's going to be gone from my life. But yeah, I'll just keep rewatching it. So thank you. This has been Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table with Younger. Check out the final season when it comes to Paramount Plus on April 15th. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of your junket day.
Thank you.
Thanks.